I can't believe it, but we actually started on time. Today's Finance Friday. Rob Morales, our CEO Network, coming at you live here on a Friday, talking about money, talking about finances, all the things that entrepreneurs take upon this journey that we call entrepreneurship. With me, my co-host, I think I'll let her introduce herself, but she has her own podcast, but she is joining me today, so please welcome. Who are you, miss?
Who am I? I am Sonia Ramirez.
That's right.
So do I throw my plug in or what? Do I get a plug or what? No.
I don't know. Do you get a plug? She's been plugging.
Sometimes.
She's been plugging a lot of things all after our morning.
Sometimes. So. Well, after the whiskey. I
Oh boy. So we
oh
had.
Boy, it's one of those podcasts.
Maybe. So we're here live talking about money and finances, and so we've been talking about the show a little bit, and I think we're taking a little bit different direction regarding kind of the information that we provide to you guys. As entrepreneurs, I think we all have unique experiences regarding, what we endure, what we kind of face in finances and managing money, which is way different than if you were involved in like a W-2, if you went to a job, for instance. So, there are. Would you venture to say that managing money as an entrepreneur is a little bit different than when you manage money as like a W-2 or when you went to work for somebody else?
100%.
How so?
Because if you are an entrepreneur, your money has to last. As an entrepreneur, the stability, the thing that you are so used, the paycheck that you're so used to getting to week after week, it's all up to you. So
we're kind of taking a look at the title of the show is Rich Dad, What the F Dad. And so we're kind of looking at the perspective of what it is to be kind of that rich dad aspect. If you've read or watched anything Robert Kiyosaki, he talks about that emotional journey in that book and in the things in his life and where he's at today. And so we're kind of taking a slice of that. Based on our own experiences and based on our own life. But when it comes to financing, I know it's difficult and it's a little bit different managing money on a commission based, on a per job basis, right?
Yes. It's scary.
Why so? Yeah.
It's scary, because you never know what tomorrow brings. And not only with the money, but you have to wake up. Right? You have to have that self-discipline to do the thing that you need to do in order to bring in the money. And once you get the money, it's like, okay, now what do you do with it? Do you go buy a new pair of shoes? Do you go buy, that nice purse? Do you have what you... Yeah. So you have to be more self-disciplined.
I will say it's a different mindset for sure.
Yes.
And it's taking me, I've been in business about 8 years now. I had my 8-year anniversary in November.
Nice. So, congratulations.
Yeah, that's me. Hello. But no, it is something to be proud of. But at the same time, it's like no matter where you're at on this journey, it's like there's always something to work on. And no matter how far I get and I look back, I'm like, oh my God, there's been a lot of shit that I've been involved in. But as I'm in it, it's like there's still a lot of work to do, and there's so many more things that need to accomplish, and it never seems like there's ever a point where you can actually stop and rest. And I think that's probably the biggest aspect of being an entrepreneur is that there's just never a pin or a point where you're like, oh my God, I'm doing really well.
Right.
I've never experienced that. There are moments where like, hey, I had a sale and I'll go celebrate, but then I'm like, oh shit, that's over.
Get back.
Tomorrow,
right.
like I'm not. That sale is done, but
that's
tomorrow's like I don't have another sale, or I better.
What do I do?
Yeah, and so that is definitely unique when it comes to entrepreneurship because you just don't know. And then as you get into a small business and you hire employees, that becomes different. I'm at that point where I need to hire somebody, and I've tried bringing on people, I've tried bringing on staff, and it's just I'm frustrated because I think a large part of this, they don't have the same kind of energy and same kind of like ideas. And, I've come to find that most people just want to come to work and leave.
Right. And this is your baby. Like, this is your baby.
Yeah.
Are they going to treat it the way you would treat it? Are they going to do the things that you would do?
Well, that's the disappointment. That is where the disappointment lies. It's like, they don't feel it. They don't see it the way I see it.
Right.
And they just want to go home. It's like, I don't get to go home.
Right.
So. You get to clock out at 5, but I'm still, okay, I need to work on this Facebook ad. I need to work on this other ad. I need to do this marketing. And, I need to send that contract out.
And I think that a lot of times people on the outside, They see the bright things. They see, oh, well, they get to work, their own schedule. They get to do the things, when I'm having to be at work at 8 to 5, but they don't realize that it's nonstop. And as a woman entrepreneur, let me tell you, the struggle and the balance and the mom guilt, everything that comes with being a woman, an entrepreneurial woman, there's so much that's involved in that.
Well, I think there's more social pressure when it comes to women, because women are like the worst critics of other women. And as a guy, you can kind of shrug off criticism.
Did you just say women? Most women? Most women. I love my ladies. I'm a cheerleader for my ladies. When I see them
winning.
What
did I say? I do that a lot. I say a lot of shit that
you put us in a box. That's what you just did. I got to speak up for my women entrepreneurs
your girls
that are, happy to see when others are winning.
But what I mean is would you agree that there, and maybe it's not just entrepreneurship, just in general, there's a culture where women tend to chastise women harsher than there really is men.
That's true. No, 100%.
Like it's almost more acceptable to say that a man is he's an entrepreneur. You let him make mistakes, but for women there tends not to be so many mistakes, or at least the framework of making a mistake isn't as big as it is for men. Is that accurate to say?
I would say so. I believe that society has.
Well, that's what I mean. That's what I'm kind of hinting at.
Yeah. No, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
But that's by far the truth.
So from a finance end, I think what we wanted to talk about was that journey process of what it takes to kind of emotionally go through that process of starting a business and trying to figure out how to acquisition money and how to support that and sustain that. Because at the end of the day, we all want the same thing, right? We want to make money. We want to support our family, the people we love, and continue to have success and feel that we're doing something.
Right.
I think that's the baseline of of entrepreneurship, is to feel like we're having
growth, continued growth in all aspects.
A passion where it's sustaining, and it's like, hey, I'm really working on something and I feel like it's benefiting people, benefiting society. Right. I feel like I have a place. I think that's really the ultimate goal with entrepreneurship, right?
Yes. I feel that with me, because my entrepreneurial ship, I think the whiskey's kicking in, is a bit different because I started in a multi-level business.
You started Legal Shield,
right? Like, it wasn't my thought. It wasn't my idea. I didn't have to really invest a whole lot of money. There wasn't a whole lot of risk. At least that's how I felt. But I learned so much within that business because I was in it from 2006 to 2013. And I was in it, and there were breaks and stuff in between, but I learned the work ethic, and I learned that you have to have thick skin to be an entrepreneur. There's so many ups and downs that you go through being an entrepreneur. And in order to succeed, you have to be willing to fall. You have to be willing to fail forward. And so many people are just not willing to take that risk. They're not willing to put everything on the line.
I honestly think it's just being a scare. So this goes back to the event we had back in last month. Yeah, it's already February. It's already March.
I know, right? I mean, these months are just like, rolling.
So from an early age, we're taught to sit down, shut up, turn around, do your work.
That's right.
Miss Graybo, if you're out there, Miss Graybo, third grade, sit down, shut up, turn around, do your work.
Right.
I'm sorry, but you did it to me. So, but it's that framework of like, hey, you have to be compliant and you have to listen to what other people say. That's and in a way, it's comfortable when somebody's telling you what to do.
Right.
And it's very comfortable, and you carry that forward into a job where you're comfortable shutting up, sitting down, turning around, doing your work, and you get paid, and you go home, you get to disconnect, and then you have your weekend.
That's
and then you go back and do it again, and you hate your life. We're entrepreneurial. It's just like I said, it's 24/7, but we're given this framework where we are meant to feel comfortable in that. And we're not taught to be uncomfortable, which goes back to Robert Kiyosaki and the whole theme of the show today is to break away from that and to embrace that, it is scary out there.
Yes.
When you're trying to start a business, it is effing scary out there, but you also have to know the framework of that. You also have to know that people out there are of that framework. They know that they need to shut up, sit down, turn around, and do the work. You know that they're following a plan or a scheme that somebody else created.
And you're going totally against all that you were ever taught.
Yeah, and it is scary as shit because nobody's gonna wake you up in the morning.
Right.
Nobody's gonna tell you, hey, this is how you have to say to win this contract. And when you lose a contract, like, oh shit, what do I do? I'm not gonna make any money next month, And so there are certain aspects of being an entrepreneur that people are really kind of don't want to embrace because their whole life has been shutting up, sitting down, turning around, and doing the work.
That's right.
And so is there certain things that you've done, Miss, to break away from that? Well, what can we do? What can we tell everybody here that is watching on the RCO network?
Well, too, it depends on who we're talking to, because are you an introvert or are you an extrovert?
I don't know. If you leave your comments or questions here, we can address that if you're... I think we had a conversation yesterday. We were talking about introverts and extroverts. But
right, because there's so many that goes to building a business with social, going out there and marketing and networking and bringing in, getting to know people, building that rapport. Like, who in the world talks about this? They didn't teach you that in school. No. So what I've learned is personal development and stepping out on.
You want to be a coach, right? You want to be a coach?
Yes. That's my ambition. Passion. That's where I feel God's pulling me to.
What's your business now?
It's it's Trust Inc. We have a nationwide mobile notary agency. So lately I've been doing a lot of closings for title. So I am linked in the real estate industry, and because of where we're at in that industry, things have tend to slow down. The interest rates are going up. There's not enough supply. And, so now it's like, okay, but even though I was building that business, I feel that that's not where I'm supposed to be. That's the business to bring in the means to do the thing that I need to do.
Well, see, we've talked about that. So we've talked about, like, I think everybody's ambition and passion is to help somebody. That's who we are as a visceral creature. That's who we are as a species, is we're really designed to be communal. Mm-hmm. And I think, because I've interviewed a lot of people over the years. And the common answer to, like, why am I here? I'm here to help other people. That is really, hands down, almost every single time, I'm here to help other people. That is the answer that I get. What we struggle with, what we contemplate so much on, is the means to that. How do we help people? Like you do notary service. Mm-hmm. Is that the means to helping other people? I don't know. When you have self-doubts, when you kind of question yourself. I had a friend that was starting a clothing business. She wanted to make women feel good in their clothing. Mm-hmm. I do real estate, so I want to help people get to their aspirations of owning a home. There's so many of that, but it's always the common denominator. That's good. Denomination. Common denominator is helping people, and I think that resonates with just about everybody out there. Everybody wants to help somebody else, but they just don't. They struggle with how to do that.
Yes, because a lot of it is stepping out of their comfort zone, right? Like, I'll give you an example. When I started in Legal Shield and I hit the executive director position, well, now I had to get in front of that room. I'm like, excuse me, what? We would like you to present. I'm like, wait, what? Oh my God. Talking about fear, about pushing forward, pushing through and not looking back and getting in front of that room and be willing to look a mess or, not have it all together.
I think the curly hair helps. I mean,
I know. I like to hide myself.
That bouncy curly hair.
I hide behind my curls.
But
that was stepping out of my comfort zone. Yeah. And what's so crazy is that led to me getting in front of the room and doing motivational engagements for schools and different foundations. Yeah. But if I never took that step of moving forward and letting go of my fear and knowing that I'm going to be okay, even stepping forward and doing the thing that I did not want to do, led me to my passion of speaking and helping and making a difference. Yeah. Isn't that crazy? It's like a lot of times your passion, what it is that you want is on the other side of stepping through, having that breakthrough and doing it even when you don't want to do it. And I think that's where I'm at.
It's really positioning yourself where you, and I did this too, I hated public speaking. And because I decided to take on the RC Network as a business, I knew that I had to be the leader at the forefront of that, because my drive, my passion is to really help people. And I found out that means was to help them along that journey. And it wasn't really to do it for them. It was like, hey, I need to create platforms. So our mission statement, because we talk about mission statements all the time. Our mission statement is to help people along and share platforms to make them feel good that they're not alone in that. So that's what if you read our mission statement, we share platforms. So like podcasting, Sonia was just a little thrown off. We've had conversations, and she wanted a little assistance, I think. Right?
A whole lot of assistance. And I just have to give you a shout out. Like,
oh shit.
Yesterday during our, conversation,
we had conversations.
You gave me so much insight of what things that I just did not see. And that's the thing. A lot of people, we continue to do the same thing over and over again. It's just that thing, not knowing what you don't know and realizing that until somebody like you is willing to step forward and speak the truth and tell us what it is that, give us advice or suggestions in such a kindly manner. And I love that about you, that you were just willing to help and didn't expect anything in return. And I thank you for that. And then here we are today.
Oh shit. For good or for worse, we are here today talking about money and finances.
Yes.
But in terms of helping somebody in that so really today's show is about financial planning, and I think that emotional journey into letting go. So if you're an entrepreneur, if you're starting your business, I think the biggest thing you can take away from either today's conversation or as you're starting your business is to really let go of what you've learned. The title of the show is Rich Dad, What the F Dad. If you've read the book, if you follow Robert Kiyosaki, he talks about that journey of letting go. He had a poor dad who did the conventional thing, what everybody told him to do: go to school, get a job. And that was my dad too. My dad was like, hey, if you get a job, get a job with the state, and they pay for your pension, and you get a paycheck every 2 weeks. Right. I don't know this whole real estate thing. I don't know, son. And it was very discouraging, and there was a lot of things I didn't tell him, because I knew that it would receive kind of negative criticism. And I think that goes for everybody else who is an entrepreneur. And if this resonates with anybody, just, please leave a comment or something. But there's so many down players who in your life, it could be your parents, it could be your spouse, it could be just somebody you're dating, who have doubts because of their own fears.
Right. Yes.
And they give that to you, and you start doubting yourself. It's like, no, I really want to do this.
That was
and
tough.
I really don't know how, and I just want the support to know that if I screw up, that you're still going to be there.
That was that was a huge challenge for me as well. Now that I'm thinking about it. And I read this book called The Dream Giver by Bruce Wilkinson. Yeah. And that was one of the first personal development books that I ever read. And in that book, it talks about the naysayers. They call them the giants, the people that are going to steal your dreams.
What is it called again?
It's The Dream Giver by Bruce Wilkinson.
I'm trying to pull it up.
But anyways, reading that book, it talks about living in, the
moment?
Ordinary, living in the ordinary. Everybody's doing the same thing. It's like doing the mundane, right? They go home after working an 8 to 5 job to watch the box, which is, we all know, a TV. And that's what people do. And he had a burning desire and passion. He didn't know where this was coming from, but that's not what he wanted to do every day. He wanted to go out and to explore and to do the thing. But then there were these people that were saying, wait, you can't do that. It's not safe. It's not safe. So they're building this fear within him. And he's like, I don't care about what you think or what you say. I'm going to continue moving forward. And pretty much that's what the book is about. But reading that, I connected to that because not everyone is made to be an entrepreneur. We need people to work the 8-to-5 job. We need those people.
What I really think quantifies an entrepreneur is somebody who is neurotic and just, it is not even passion. It's just neurotic. Like for me, like when I get into something, I can't let it sit. I continually have to let it evolve or make it better. And it just doesn't sit right. Even when I get to a certain point. You see all the cameras and stuff. Like even I'm okay with this, but then I'm also looking for the next thing that makes it better.
Yes.
And right now on YouTube, we've gotten to just over 6,000 subscribers, which
congratulations.
I love. But at the same time, I'm like, I'm only at 6,000. I need to continue this. I can't let it set. I can't enjoy it. And there is a certain neuroses behind being an entrepreneur that you just, it doesn't matter how far you get. It's just like, I can't let it set.
And what's so interesting for those of you that are watching, I am not like Robert Morales. I am that one who I'm learning. I need someone like you in my life, right? Like my husband and I, we do our podcast together and you guys have so many similarities because I can bring, I can get the listeners, I can get people to, take a listen. Yeah. I can bring in the business, but when it comes to all the details and just the analytics and everything, that is what you bring to the table. So when you become an entrepreneur, you have to learn that about you. Like what are your weaknesses and what are your strengths? And whatever your weaknesses are, you really have to work on those unless you're willing to you're comfortable enough to find a partner who's willing to fulfill that weakness. So you work, but it takes a lot of self-processing and a self-reflection and truth to figure that out.
And in terms of today's show, so we try to help, people that are trying to launch and get off the table. So I come across a lot of people who are just starting in this industry or at least starting their industry, people who either starting a clothing line, have a new website, have an idea, and they're always in positions where like they don't have funding. And so in terms of today's show, and I know we veer off a little bit.
A whole lot.
Probably a whole lot.
I'm like hurting a cat. It's all good.
You're like a big cat, very very feline in her.
A big cat. No woman wants to be called big. No.
A very slim, but I'm trying to think of a different word.
Take a drink. Oh, you don't have anything left.
A feline.
Okay.
But there's so much to start with, and you really don't have a direction. And so what we wanted to bring today, and I'm kind of
bringing it back
to square one, is like, how can we help people lift off or start off or get that initial kind of take. And when it comes to financing, the first thing that I would advise anybody to do, the first thing that I would say to anybody starting this entrepreneurial stuff is to find a husband or a wife who has a W-2 job.
Right? I was a W-2, but no, you're right. It makes it so much easier.
Well, okay. So I will say, Violet has a W-2 position and she has benefits and all this. So it's kind of nice to have somebody that's willing to do the W-2.
So you understand.
But when I started, it was by myself.
Right. Me too.
And so so I think when you leave a job, there's a lot of questions, like not having a regular paycheck. And not having benefits is the second one. The hard part is the consistency and having money come in. I don't think there's a solution for that. You just really have to accept the fact that you're not going to have money, and that if you decide to start your business, that you have to have at least 6 months of funds in your bank.
Emergency account.
Because I will tell you, the first time I got into real estate, that first month, I used my vacation time from the state to kind of live off of for a little while. And I didn't have a deal. I didn't have a transaction for like 6 months.
Wow.
Like literally 6 months. And it was on the 6th month. I'm like, I had to pull from my retirement just to kind of continue to survive. But that first month, that 6th month, I made $18,000. So I'm like, and at that time, it was like, oh my God, that's a good amount. Okay, so I'm in this.
Yes.
But all the doubt, every single month that just hit that first 6 months was like, okay, you need to go find a job. Oh shit, I really want to make this happen, but I just can't. So really, if you want to start any kind of job or any kind of career, it's not so much having a spouse that makes money, but that helps. But if you're doing this on your own, it's to have at least 6 months of reserve before you take the final leap outside of a regular job to really minimize your expenses. I think really buying down a lot of your expenses, right? I mean,
can you have both though? I mean, what
do you mean by both?
Why not keep your job? I wish somebody would have told me this when I was working Legal Shield. Like, don't quit. Continue to work your job and continue to work your plan B until you build the funds that you need in order to invest.
But that's the hard part too, is that your passion, your dream has to get all your time. If you give your dream part-time work, it's only going to get part-time results. So that's the tough one to swallow. It's like, okay, so I think you can start there. And I did that too. My first year as an agent, I worked part-time, but there was a lot of situations where I was working that I couldn't address a problem, that I couldn't take care of it. And luckily it was only one deal. Now I have like 3 to 4 transactions at a time, but it doesn't serve anybody. It doesn't serve their better interest if I'm distracted by something else.
Wow.
You know
See
what I mean?
that, you just saying that, like I'm putting myself in a position where, okay, my husband's not in the picture and it's just me. That scares the bejesus out of me. You know, to be able to take that leap. And even now,
I started full time as I was in the middle of a divorce. I started by myself. I was living at somebody else's house.
So we're going to turn this interview around. Now, so what gave you what gave you the strength or the courage to step outside and just be able to let yourself go and jump in with both feet? With knowing that there's no other means coming in, it's all up to you.
The true answer?
Yes.
I was scared out of my ass, and it was really my attorney that said, "Hey, if you want alimony, you need to quit your job with the state." And I'm like, okay.
Wow.
And really at the core of it is having somebody else support you and be there and kind of be your friend. I don't talk to the attorney anymore. You know, we had kind of a disconnect, and she was a friend. But it was really that kind of push by somebody else. You know, I'm not the strongest person by any means. And I don't think many people are, but what it did take is somebody to say, "Hey, I'm going to be there even in just a moment. I'm going to be there for you if you fall."
Ooh, that's so good to have that support, knowing that.
Yeah, because like a couple of years later, it's like she went batshit crazy, and I don't talk to her anymore. But at the moment, it's like, hey, somebody really cares about me. Okay, fine, I will take the chance.
Because someone else was breathing life into you. They were breathing. And that's so important as being an entrepreneur, is having the right associations, like plugging into those people that believe in you more than you believe in yourself. Because there's going to be times where you're going to be like, I think I need to go back to that 8 to 5. I don't know if I can do this. But then you call up that friend who's had that success, who's willing to share it with you. Say, listen, buddy, you have everything it takes. Continue to move forward. You're right there. You're right there. Because most of us feel like right at that point where we feel we can't do anymore, and you're about to quit, your success is right there on the other side.
Well, but the problem is you have a lens that you can't see that yet. You know, it's that 6 Feet to Gold or whatever that book is. You know, you're constantly digging and digging and digging, and you just don't see it. And at some point, you just you're tired, and you just want to give up. And you're just literally feet from finding gold, you know. Right. And if there was a book to read, I haven't read it, but you know, I kind of understand the concept.
Valiant Forward.
Yeah.
John C. Maxwell.
But it does take a community. It does take people around you, and that's why sometimes, you know, I think we concede to our friends, even though they're not the best friends that we could have, where they won't let us go without food. They won't let us go without a home. And that's really what I needed at the time was that person to be there unconditionally to accept me where I'm at. And, you know, shout out to Valerie. She was there, you know, when I was in my worst of times, and she helped me get through that. And it's really my relationships, and it will always go down. And this is why our Seat Network exists, is because we continue to build relationships that are the most important piece of what a business is. You know, when you're having your down moments, it's those relationships that are going to pick you up.
Right, right.
And when I was in my worst of moments, it was that relationship with my ex-employee who got me through those couple months, and where I was able to kind of start things. And once things started, it just kept going, you know.
And by that relationship, I'm sure you're still connected to that individual today, but knowing that you had that individual in your life.
Oh yeah, she's
gave
still,
you what you needed
and very much so today. If she ever needed anything, I would be there. I would drop everything I need to because she took the time and support. And she. But the most important part is she never asked for anything either. That's when you know it's unconditional love. That's what we all attain for. That sense of like obligation without feeling obligated.
So do you already have unconditional love for me?
We're working on that. We're working on that. That's a long process.
I'm about to eat
but
your
not
microphone.
Today. Oh boy.
Ooh.
So we're coming at the end of the show today. So what have we learned today, Miss?
Wow.
That is the big question.
What have we learned today?
What is your takeaway?
To fail forward, to continue to, it's whatever it is that you're looking to do, whatever business it is that you're looking to do. It's knowing why you're doing it, having the reasons why, and continuing to push forward even when you feel that you don't have the energy or the...
You lose the words.
When you don't believe, a lot of times we don't believe in ourselves. And therefore, we go back to safety. We go back to doing the thing that we're used to doing, working from 8 to 5.
Yeah.
That rat race, right? Robert Kiyosaki talks about the
comfortableness of everything that we are used to. The sit down, shut up, turn around, do your work. That's what we've been taught our whole life.
So what I would say is to do the thing that you don't feel comfortable doing in order to continue to push forward and to reach out to those individuals that believe in you, to eliminate your associations, because a lot of times we have those people who are those naysayers, the people that bring more fear than belief into your life, and to be able to be strong enough to disconnect, not 100% when you're going through things. Surround yourself with the right associations and continue to push forward.
Well, and to bridge off of that too, the distinct part of hopefully that I've connected with you is that there are people out there of unconditional love, in the fact that they're not going to ask you for anything, and you see the struggle they go through and they never ask you for help. But they're always there to help you. And I think when you're choosing the people you surround yourself with, that's who you really trust and really who helps you move forward in this life. And every part in Valerie and Valerie's family helped me get to where I'm at only because they believed in me at the initial time. And it's so hard to extinguish and get rid of relationships because when we're in a vulnerable state, when we're starting our business, it's like we feel the most insecure. Because we're not sure if we're sending the right message. We're not sure if the passion is there. We're not sure if people are connecting it. And we want them to. And we become, in some ways, very needy, very desperate.
Right.
And the mentality there is way different than when we're further along in a business. Like now, I'm not that needy person I was several years ago. So
I'm still there. No.
Oh, boy.
Needy in other ways. No. Ooh, bring us back around.
We're coming back around or cutting the drinks off, but we're at the end of the show today. So if you have any comments or questions regarding anything, if you have any insight on starting a business, we kind of provided a little bit, but it's only a half-hour show, Miss. So we're here every Friday to talk about finances. We didn't really talk about financial things, but hopefully in that process, in that journey and everything we've shared, it's brought you inspiration. Sonia's brought me inspiration. She's brought me a lot of inspiration.
I thank you. So, you're just, people that have been watching you, you bring so much value to the table. And I know this recording's a bit different, or this, episode's a bit different. Yeah. And, hopefully we did provide some information for individuals that are looking to step out of their comfort zone.
Absolutely. Until next time, we'll see you guys.
Bye.
Adios.